President Donald Trump has taken a decisive lead in key battleground swing states, according to a brand new poll from the New York Times. There is incredible footage coming out of the Middle East showing the Iron Dome protecting Israel, and Japan is hosting a parade for Donald Trump? We'll get to all of that and much more in today's video, but first we turn to Michigan, where Trump has earned one of the most surprising, unexpected, and perhaps consequential endorsements of the entire campaign. Let's take a look.
The Democrat mayor of a Detroit area suburb has officially endorsed Donald Trump for president, calling the former commander-in-chief the right choice for this critical time. Amir Ghalib announcing his endorsement in a Facebook post over the weekend, saying even though he and Trump didn't agree on everything, he does feel Trump is a man of principles. He wrote, "I'll not regret my decision no matter what the outcome would be, and I'm ready to face the consequences. For this and for many other reasons, I announce my support and endorsement for the former and hopefully the next president of the United States, Donald Trump." Mayor Ghalib said Trump promised him to end the wars in the Middle East.
So this endorsement is potentially as consequential as it is unexpected. So not only is the endorsement coming from a Muslim mayor, he also is the mayor of the country's only Muslim majority city. According to the BBC, Hamtramck, Michigan is a city run by Muslim Americans, but they also are population-wise the majority there. So this city, Hamtramck, is right outside of Detroit. You can see here on the map just how close, it is literally a suburb of Detroit. They are in Wayne County as well. According to the Daily Mail, Mayor Ghalib appeared on Breitbart News this past weekend to speak highly of President Trump, and he said, quote, "I talked to President Trump about, some statistics here in Wayne County and how it used to be a stronghold for the Democrats, and we always used to vote Democrat." And he was talking about their, quote, "very productive meeting in Flint," and he says that is not the case anymore. So why is this endorsement so consequential? Well, according to CAIR, 94% of Muslims in Michigan voted uncommitted this year during the Democrat primaries. So what did that mean? That means that 100,000 voters in Michigan voted uncommitted. In other words, they did not vote for Joe Biden during the primaries. This is according to Reuters. 100,000 uncommitted votes. Now, considering that swing states could be decided, Georgia, 11,000 votes, Arizona, very, very tight margins, this endorsement could pay dividends for President Trump in November. According to the New York Times, losing any slice of support is perilous for both, and this was obviously written earlier in the year, Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump. But the reason I showed this, pulled this clip, is to show you the comparisons from 2020 to 2016. Biden, quote unquote, won Michigan in 2020 by about 150,000 votes, and Trump won it in 2016 by 11,000 votes. So this endorsement is definitely going to have Kamala Harris and the Democrats quaking in their boots. There is a reason she is asking now for another debate. Of course, she turned down the Fox News debate, and all of a sudden she accepted the CNN debate and is claiming that Trump is the chicken. Yeah, right. If you are in the lead, if you truly are winning, you're not going to beg for another debate, right? You would let the first one speak for itself. But she knows the momentum is against her. And that momentum is being proved out, is playing out in real time right now. We got this New York Times poll, and this poll shows Trump leading in the Sun Belt states, and CNN is even showing how disastrous this polling is for Kamala Harris, especially among minorities.
One of the things that we should note, and I don't know if we can show this number, I want to put this up on screen. Latino voters have moved away from Harris in Arizona. If you believe this New York Times poll, her lead has shrunk by 11 points in that voting bloc. She was at 60% in August, now 49% now.
Look, all the polls have historically underestimated Donald Trump's support. But when you compare it to the mainstream media polls, the New York Times has historically been closer to the actual results than, say, the Quinnipiac poll, right? So that's why I personally like the New York Times poll. So what they're showing right now is a tie in the national popular vote between Trump and Harris, but in Arizona, a whopping 5-point lead for Trump. That is well outside the margin of error. Georgia, a 4-point lead, 49 to 45%, and then a 2-point lead in North Carolina. So that is huge news for Trump. That is helping his fortunes in the 538 projections as well as Nate Silver's models. So here is the New York Times compared to all the other polls. The New York Times at the very top, so you'll see, very strong for Trump, but you'll see the Times is being even more bullish than the polling averages. They're 3 points ahead in Arizona of the polling averages. They are 2 points ahead in Georgia, and they're 3 points ahead in North Carolina. And again, the New York Times has historically been more accurate. Quinnipiac has been historically more liberal. CNN more liberal. Emerson more liberal. So this is great news for Trump. And then the key trend line to watch here is actually the pre-debate and post-debate shift. A lot of people were saying, it looked like we had this slew of polls that came out last week and it looked like, Harris was getting a post-debate bounce, but the New York Times is pouring cold water on that theory. So on the left-hand side, you'll have the pre-debate margins. You'll see Harris leading in quite a few, leading in 3, or leading in 2, and then leading in the polling average. And then on the right-hand side, this is all the New York Times polling. Their methodology hasn't changed. The exact same polling method and questions. The only difference now is before and after the debate. And you'll see on the right-hand side, Trump is leading across the board, and now it is tied in the polling average. So things are looking up for former President Trump. So going back to that endorsement from Mayor Ghalib in Michigan, not good news. Harris is tight in Pennsylvania, behind in Georgia, behind in North Carolina, behind in Arizona. The polling supposedly has Harris ahead in Michigan, but that endorsement from Mayor Ghalib, I'm sure, has them quaking in their boots. Look, I am Filipino American, and I know I have a lot of Filipino viewers on my channel, and so you guys, please comment down below and testify to this. The Filipino American community is very tight-knit, and it's sort of this subculture, right? Like, I'm going to say a name, and he is like royalty to every Filipino viewer I have. Manny Pacquiao. I mean, everyone knows who he is. He is essentially like royalty, right? The famous Filipino boxer. What I'm saying, though, is that I imagine that the Muslim American community is similarly tight-knit and that news spreads. So if this mayor, who won his election, by the way, with 68% of the vote, has pretty much 68% approval rating in the city. If he is endorsing President Trump, I would not sleep on that. I'm telling you, something is happening in Michigan, and the Trump coalition is growing, and it is adding members who are unexpected. Now, with that being said, I would like to turn to the Middle East, where Hezbollah and Israel have been trading fire. There is incredible new footage of the Iron Dome in action. That right there was the Iron Dome shooting missiles to defend itself. So according to the New York Times, Israel launches extensive attack on Hezbollah, and they've been exchanging fire over the last few hours. Now, this next footage, for those of you unfamiliar, so the Iron Dome protects Israel, and what it does is, as missiles come in, they have an advanced technology system that shoots up counter missiles, and the missiles intercept each other. And I mean, this stunning photo was taken. This was today, and you can see the incoming rockets to attack the country of Israel, and then the Iron Dome, sending counter rockets. The precision is just insane, and every explosion you see in this video is, lives saved, buildings that are, also saved. Take a look at this. So you can see the incoming fire, and then every explosion in the sky is the Iron Dome intercepting those missiles. Again, hundreds, thousands of lives saved here. Just incredible technology. And, the reason I wanted to share this is not only is this incredible to look at, but, Trump started Space Force, which seems unrelated, seems like a tangent, but on the same time, we have all these worries about nuclear war and World War III, and I'm just like, if Israel has an Iron Dome, why don't we have an Iron Dome? Why don't we have anything to protect the country? Why don't we have a system to intercept missiles, intercept, potentially nuclear missiles, nuclear warheads? I mean, I hope that we get something like that in the future, especially as we expand our technology. I'm sure that having Space Force is going to force our technology into the future, into the next, generation of military tech. Last but not least, there was a parade this weekend in Japan, and they held, this group has paraded for the last few years for President Trump. But what I really loved about this is they started chanting "fight, fight, fight." They were inspired by Trump's resilience and Trump's reaction to the assassination attempts on his life. And it shows, here in the US, the media and big tech and Hollywood have tried to minimize and distract from the assassination attempts. Those should have been huge news stories that we would have been talking about for weeks, but all of a sudden they're gone, they're brushed under the rug. But in Japan, they're still inspired by Trump's resilience, and that's why they're chanting the "fight, fight, fight" slogan. I really think we would see more reactions like that in the US if it weren't for our mainstream media downplaying it and, trying to just shove it under the rug. But as always, this is my analysis, my commentary, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. What do you think about this endorsement from Mayor Ghalib? Do you, welcome it? Do you accept it? Do you think it'll have an impact in these states like Michigan, maybe even Minnesota? What are your predictions on that? Or do you think, the endorsement doesn't matter, endorsements don't matter? I just would love to read your perspectives, no matter where you fall on either side of the fence. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.